Chapter 420. False Drama. Kang Chia didn't pay any attention to Shui Wuhan. He just lowered his head to Shui Wuhan and coldly grunted, shattered into pieces. "If I move my foot now, you'll have to be broken into pieces." Shui Wuxia was furious at his words, but he didn't dare to say anything back because Kang Chia was right. In midair, Shui Wuhan was filled with rage, his fierce eyes glaring fiercely at Kang Chia, his face filled with gloom as he said, "Who the hell are you? When did the Bai family have a character like you? Why have I never heard of you? I'm Bai Zu's cousin from the Gravity Desert. This is still my first time coming to Penglai Immortal Island, so you naturally don't recognize me," Kang Chia said with a proud face. The blue-clothed woman not far away saw Kang Chia call himself her cousin, and immediately hated him secretly, gritting her teeth in anger, but did not open her mouth to deny it. The butler Wong at the side was even more dumbfounded, secretly admiring Kang Chia in his heart, thinking that this kid really dared to blow any ball. "Cousin." In the middle of the jungle, a group of bloodthirsty knights looked at Kang Chia with strange faces, as elite warriors of the Bai family. This was the first time they had heard that Miss Bai had a cousin. Moreover, this brat was clearly a guest warrior who joined the Bai family. Halfway through the forest of misty trails, when did he become Mrs. Cousin? The loyal bloodthirsty knights were filled with consternation, not to mention the doubts of the people on the Bai family's side. Shui Wuhan, who was in midair, had a dazed look on his face. "Gravity Desert. I've heard that the mysterious master mother of the Bai clan is from the Gravity Desert. I didn't expect it to be true. Dare I ask your honor's name?" Shui Wuhan said. This time, it was Kang Chon's turn to faint. He didn't expect Shui Wuhan to believe this cheap cousin of his so easily, and also gave him a reason to get a justified origin. "Kang Chia." Kang Chia secretly snickered, and then reported his name. Anyway, he couldn't leave the Nine Heavens Mirage realm in a short period of time. Sooner or later, his name was going to be spread. There was no need to hide it. Moreover, he didn't care to hide it either. Kang Chia. What an overbearing name, to dare to use heaven as his name. This person's origin is extraordinary. I'm afraid his status in the Gravity Desert is not low. Shui Wuhan heard this and thought darkly. Then he looked at Kang Chia and said with a straight face, "So it's brother Kang Chia. I think this matter is a misunderstanding. Why don't we just leave it at that? How about it?" "Misunderstanding? What a misunderstanding. Do you think I'm an idiot? I'm afraid that the Wolf Pack earlier was also attracted by you guys." Kang Chia smiled coldly. Water Wuhan smiled awkwardly at his words, but immediately said with great righteousness, "This is absolutely impossible. We just accidentally passed by here. But also blame my brother for being a love-struck person. As soon as he saw your cousin, he couldn't stop thinking about it, forcing I use such means. Alas, Kang Chia brother, you just look at my brother's infatuation on the sake of sparing him this time." Before Shui Wuhan finished speaking, the blue-clothed woman over there, also known as Bai Zu, had already mocked. "I've often heard that the water family's twin prides are #1 in the world in their ability to turn black and white upside down. And it's true that their name is true to their word." Shui Wuin's face didn't change when he heard that. He smiled lightly. "Princess Bai Zu is joking. Your brother is also obsessed with your infatuation. That's why he did such a thing. Just spare him this time, for the sake of his infatuation." "Humph." Bai Zu snorted coldly and said no more. She had seen Shui Wuin's shamelessness. As for Kang Chia, he had already been dumbfounded, thinking that, if a person is shameless, he is invincible. I'm afraid that the thickness of this Shui Wuin's face skin is even more powerful than the strength of his physical body. Sparing him this time is not impossible. But what about the matter of you hitting on my cousin? Kang Chia pondered for a moment and said coldly. Shui Wuhan raised his eyebrows at the words and said in a deep voice, "Brother Kang Chia has something to say. saying that. His eyes stared tightly at Kangxia, and his Yuanying stage aura came out. Kangxia coldly smiled, said, "It's very simple. How is my cousin injured? Your brother must also be so," said. A huge force from his paws ruthlessly pressed down. "Stop." Shui Wuhan sniffed angrily and came towards Kangxia *******. However, Kangxia simply ignored him and directly stepped heavily on Shui Wuin's chest with a powerful force. This terrifying force, following Kangxian's foot, completely re-injured Shui Wuxing. And at this moment, Shui Wuhan was also very close to him. Kangxia glanced at Shui Wuhan, coldly smiled, and kicked out, sending the Shui Wuhan on the ground flying out, aiming precisely in Shui Wuin's direction. Although Shui Wuhan was furious in his heart, but at this moment, he also had to hold down the killing intent in his heart, and hurriedly and carefully caught his younger brother, Shui Wuhan. After catching Shui Wuxing hurriedly checked his injuries, and was relieved to find that his life was not in danger. But then he was incomparably angry, because Shui Wuxing was very seriously injured, without half a year of healing. I'm afraid it would be difficult to regain his fighting strength. Kangxia ... Shui Wuhan let out a roar, and roared as he rushed towards Kangxia. He raised a pair of iron fists, carrying an unrivaled force that blasted the air and killed Kangxia. Seeing this, Baizu and Butler Wong shouted in alarm to be careful. However, Kangxian's face did not change, and in the midst of their shock, he actually directly met Shui Wuhan and raised his overlord fist, and he blasted out. The fists of the two men exchanged blows 10 times in mid-air, but in the end, they were indistinguishable and retreated backwards from each other. This scene left Baizu, Butler Wong, and the rest of the crowd completely stunned. No one had expected Kangxia to be so strong that even Shui Wuhan, who had broken through to the Yuanying stage, was able to withstand it. Shui Wuhan himself was also very shocked. His face was gloomy and terrifying as he said in a chilling voice, "Good skill. I didn't expect your excellency to be so strong, but if you think that this is all the power you have at the Yuanying stage, then you won't be able to walk out of here alive today." Saying that, he prepared to kill again. But Kangxia let out a loud shout, causing him to suddenly stop. "I think before you defeat me, your brother will be broken into pieces first." Kangxia sneered as he looked at Shui Wuhan. Shui Wuin's face suddenly changed. He violently turned his head to look, but he found that the White family's bloodthirsty knights were already eyeing the unconscious Shui Wuhan. It was obvious that as long as he moved one more step, these bloodthirsty knights would surely shatter Shui Wuin's body into pieces. Seeing this situation, Shui Wuin's face was gloomy to the extreme. His voice was cold to the bone. "Good one, Kangxia. I, Shui Wuhan, will remember you next time we meet again. We need to learn about your excellency's high level of skill. Farewell." As the words fell, Shui Wuhan picked up Shui Wuhan, directly rose up in the air, and disappeared into the jungle. Not far away, Baizu, Butler Wong, and the others finally breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Shui Wuhan leaving. Even though Kangxia was able to block Shui Wuhan just now, they still did not recognize Kangxia as Shui Wuin's opponent. After all, there was still a big gap between the Jidan stage and Yuanying stage. However, the strength that Kangxia had shown today was indeed powerful, and in Baizu's opinion, Kangxia should have the strength of a half-step Yuanying stage, which was much stronger than even a peak Jidan stage powerhouse. "Are you guys all right?" After Shui Wuhan left, Kangxia grabbed the corpses of the golden unicorn giant wolf and the 5 silver giant wolves and returned to the caravan, greeting Baizu and Butler Wong with a smile. When the surrounding bloodthirsty knights saw Kangxia, they all couldn't help but show a look of awe. No matter where they were, the strong were worthy of respect. Even Butler Wang's face changed a lot when he looked at Kangxia now. He no longer dared to refer to himself as an old man, and instead addressed Kangxia as Prince Kangxia. On the contrary, when Baizu saw Kangxia walking towards her, that original iceberg-like face hole suddenly melted away and blossomed into a spring-like smile. This time, with cousin's hand. "We are naturally fine, thank you, cousin." She deliberately bit the word cousin very heavily. Kangxia was a little embarrassed at his words and rubbed his head. "Missy is joking. Just now I was also forced by circumstances. That being said, words spoken are like water splashed out. I'm afraid that this cousin you have to continue pretending. Could it be that cousin looks down on me as a cousin?" Baizu's face was full of smiles. Looking at the butler Wong on the side was full of surprise. Since childhood, it was the first time he saw that Missy would show such a smile to a man she had only known for a short while. When Kangxia heard this, he had no choice but to nod helplessly and said, "Then I am offended." In fact, he had long had this intention, after all, for a black household like him. If he could have the identity of cousin Baizu, then walking the ancient immortal continent would be much more convenient.